As we all know, the Egyptian pyramids are one of the great and mysterious architectural works of humanity. Even though they were built over 4,000 years ago, the pyramids remain full of mystery and intrigue for many people. Many people question how the pyramids were constructed and whether the Egyptians were assisted by aliens in completing this monumental work. Deciphering the mystery of how the pyramids were built is one of the greatest and most mysterious architectural achievements of mankind. The pyramids were built over 4,000 years ago, but still exude a mystical aura. Previously, we deciphered stories about mummies and the eerie curses of the pharaohs. Today, we will together decode a question that many people ask. How were the pyramids built? And did the Egyptians receive help from aliens to complete such a great work? Let's find out. The Aztecs, Mayans, and ancient Egyptians belonged to three very different civilizations, but shared a common symbol: the pyramids. However, within these three ancient civilizations, the Egyptian pyramid design standards are largely recognized as the classic pyramid style. A colossal structure with a square base, four smooth, triangular faces converging at the top. According to Lona Redfox, a professor specializing in ancient Mediterranean civilizations, the ancient Egyptians might have chosen this distinctive design for their pharaohs' tombs because they worshipped the sun god. The sun god of the Egyptians is considered the progenitor of the pharaohs. The god supposedly created himself on a small, pyramid-shaped hill before creating other gods. The form of the pyramids represents the rays of the sun. According to Professor Red Fox, the Egyptians began building the pyramids shortly after 2700 B.C. The golden age of the pyramids for royalty lasted about 1,000 years. By 1700 BC, the first pyramid was built by Egyptian Emperor Djoser. The architect of the first pyramid was Imhotep. He constructed a step pyramid by stacking rectangular tombs from previous kings. The largest and most famous pyramids are in the city of Giza, including the pyramid of Pharaoh Khufu. Over the centuries, people have put forward many theories about how the pyramids were built. Some suggest that the pyramids were certainly built by extraterrestrial beings. Others believe the Egyptians possessed a lost art of construction passed down through generations. According to Professor Redford, although the construction of the pyramids was complex, it was not as monumental as most of us might think. About 20,000 to 30,000 laborers were mobilized to build the Giza pyramid over approximately 23 years. But comparing it to the cathedral in Paris, which took up to 200 years to complete, puts it in perspective. Also noted by Professor Redford, pharaohs would start building their own pyramids as soon as they came to power. Firstly, a pyramid construction committee, including a foreman, a chief engineer, and an architect, had to be established. Usually, the pyramids were placed along the Nile River, with the belief that the souls of the pharaohs would merge with the sun's rays as the sun set before continuing their eternal orbit. Professor Redford added that two factors determined the location of a pyramid. It must point towards the western horizon where the sun sets, and it must be near the central city of ancient Egyptian Memphis. The core of the pyramid was typically built from limestone sourced locally. Higher quality limestone was often used for the outer layer of the pyramid, giving it a shimmering white appearance visible from miles away. The stones placed at the top were often granite, basalt, or other hard stones that could be gilded, silvered, or coated with a gold-silver alloy. Importantly, these stones had to reflect sunlight well. Professor Redford further noted that the belief that slaves were forced to partake in pyramid construction is incorrect. The concept of slavery in ancient Egyptian civilization is a complex subject due to the legal aspects of servitude and ownership. Poor farmers who participated in pyramid construction were exempted from taxes. They were taken to construction sites where they were provided with food, shelter, and clothing. The method of cutting and transporting stone by the ancient Egyptians is still under study. Scholars have found evidence that the ancient Egyptians used copper chisels to quarry sandstone and limestone. For harder stones like granite and diorite, more powerful tools were required. Dolerite, a very hard black volcanic rock, was used by Egyptians to extract granite. During excavation, large tools were used to break the rocks inside the granite blocks. According to Redford, about 60 to 70 men were tasked with breaking the rock. At the base, wooden wedges would be inserted into the cut slots, and water was poured into these slots. As the wooden wedges expanded, they would split the stone, which would then slide onto a waiting ship. A group of people or a herd of oxen would haul the stone blocks along a lubricated track prepared in advance. Professor Redford said that a depiction in a tomb from the 19th century BC in Central Egypt showed a 6-meter-high alabaster statue being pulled by 173 men using. Wherever the statue was transported, another man would lubricate the track. When blocks were transported to the pyramid site, small ramps were constructed to move stones up the pyramid. Mud bricks were used to build these ramps and then coated with mortar to harden the surface. Redford noted that if they consistently raised the ramps, little by little, while sliding the stones upward, they could maneuver the stones into place with relative ease. Notably, at least one such ramp still exists today. When addressing doubts about how such heavy stones could be transported without machinery, Professor Redford explained that he often shows skeptics a photograph of 20 of his team members at an archaeological site, pulling a nearly 2.5-ton granite block. He knows it is entirely possible, as he has personally helped pull the stone. With researchers' findings, it becomes clear that the Egyptian pyramids were indeed constructed by human hands. This realization further affirms the view that the Egyptians were millennia ahead of their time in crafting such grand architectural works for future generations. If you agree or disagree with this perspective, please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section.